My name is David Williams, and I'm very pleased to be here today with you for our Watch Me Do a Live forecast utilizing the square principle. Thanks very much for coming today. The things I'm going to show you today and the forecast that I make are going to be using the square principle, and these are the things that I'll be teaching you on the upcoming Square Principle seminar, which is on June 25th, Saturday, June 25th, and Sunday, June 26th, over here in Las Vegas at the Mirage Hotel. On that weekend, I'll be teaching you all of the incredible uses and amazing things that you can do with the square principle. And I want to assure you that there is no way that you will know anything about the square principle until you learn it. So you're not going to be learning something that you already know or already even kind of know. It's all brand new information. And now, having said that, our company is Page Trader. We're now in our 23rd year of providing market forecasts for traders based on the square principle. Forecasts just like all these here. There's thousands of them on our website. Please be sure to read our trading disclaimer. Trading is risky. You can lose money and so on. This is at the bottom of each of our website pages. And we'll get right into it now. Now, one of the things I do want to say is that originally this, some of you have been to some of our webinars before where we make forecasts. All of them have been correct. We've done 3 or 4 of them where we're making forecasts for where markets are going to be utilizing the square principle. However, we normally do them on Tuesday, and we moved it over for scheduling reasons. We moved it over to today. And today happens to be the Fed interest rate announcement, and it makes a lot of the forecasts that we were planning on made have already now been completed. That doesn't mean I won't make one, but I'm just letting you know that I have to be sort of on my toes a little bit here because when the Fed interest rate announcement comes, there's really big volatility, and a lot of the numbers and things that we were looking for, that we were going to be forecasting, have occurred in the S&P. So that's unfortunate, but we'll deal with that. Now, what if you suddenly woke up tomorrow and had the knowledge that I'm going to be talking to you about, the square principle knowledge, which is specialized knowledge and which has never been published before, and allows you to know highly specific, distant price targets that the market that you're interested in is actually about to trade to? What if you had that information just bingo tomorrow? Well, you could have that information by coming to the Square Principle Seminar on June 25th and 26th here in Las Vegas at the Mirage Hotel. The Square Principle is not for brand new people in the market. It is for people who've had some experience with markets, have been around the block, preferably have even purchased things in the past that maybe didn't work so well, or however it worked out. It's for more experienced traders, not because the square principle is difficult, but because it will provide the more experienced trader the very best results, because it allows, or to have the very experienced market person or technician, it allows them to realize the kinds of things that they'll be able to do with this principle. These charts are just some of the recent forecasts that we've made, like this one here with the S&P above 4213 and an advance to 4240 should occur. Well, the market could have done millions of other things other than going to 4240. It could have done all kinds of things, but instead of that, it went straight to 4240. It did miss it by 1 tick. They made a high of 4239.75. Fair enough. And this was on the 14th of March. What about this 2-step forecast? Thursday, 310. This was Friday or Thursday of last week. The S&P should advance to 4230. It was trading at the time at around 4214. It should go to 4230 to 32, then fail and come down to 4220 or lower. And the market could have done millions of other things. We know that for a fact. It could have gone all kinds of places. It could have gone down. It could have gone sideways. But instead of all the things it could have done, it actually did the exact thing the square principle said it would do, which is rally to 42.30 to 32. It subsequently rallied to 42.34.50. Then it would fail and come down to 42.20. And lo and behold, it made a low of 42.13, but it did complete the 42.20. Out of all the things the market could have done, it did the exact thing that the square principle said it would do, and it had 2 steps to it. Bet you can't do that right now with whatever tool, whatever process, whatever indicator you may be using. But when you learn the square principle on June 25th and 26th, you will be able to make these kinds of market forecasts based on this principle. Or what about this directional move, which was on 314 2 days ago? Market is in a weak position and will likely decline to 41.68 from here. Now, what would make anybody suddenly say, just because the market pulled back to here, that it's ready to go down all the way to here? And because this is utilizing the square principle, the market could have moved all kinds of different ways, but instead of doing all those different things, it actually did go down and complete 41.68. It did go lower than that, no doubt. It went down to 41.52. We don't take credit for any movement in the market beyond what we forecasted with the square principle. You'll see many people say, well, we told you to go short here and look how far it went down. But that wasn't really known in advance. We only tell you what we know in advance, utilizing the principle, and we only take credit for what we know in advance. Anybody who says, I told you to go short here, and then when it finally gets down to here and it starts bouncing, they say, look how much you could have made. That's nonsense. That has no reality, no basis in reality. With this square principle, and if you know something like this, you will be able to do things day in and day out very, very differently than what you're doing now, and with dramatically greater certainty and, dare I say, courage of your convictions, because you have a new way to understand what the market is likely going to do. Now, once you are in a position with the square principle to understand what the market is likely going to do, you'll also understand that people who do not understand this principle are struggling and asking questions that aren't even correct questions. When you understand the principle, you realize that there's something missing that they don't know. And this is the condition that you are in right now, if I may say so. The part that you don't know, if you don't know it, you couldn't possibly ask the correct questions about it. When you do know it, you can see very clearly why other people struggle with the market. Like, let's take a look at the S&P right now. Now, again, we don't have, because of the Fed interest rate announcement, we have, there's issues here that we can't, the forecasts that we had made, many of them have already become true today. But I also want to give you something. The market's in a position right now with closing above 42.13, and we're at 42.27, to move up into tomorrow to go complete a minimum of 43.42, slightly new high above this high. It's going to move up just initially to 43.42 to 43.44. And although I haven't fully worked it out yet, likely it's going to move higher than that, getting up to 43.56 to 43.58. So make a note of that for tomorrow. The main forecast really is just, and we're kind of doing this on the fly without all of the prep time that we normally would put in making a public forecast, only because the scheduling date, putting this webinar today on the Fed interest rate day, we had plenty of forecasts that have already completed today. Those were the ones that we wanted to give you. It's okay, but here's one for you. If we're above 42.13 on hourly closes tomorrow, then we'll be up at 43.13. So sorry. If we're above 43.13 tomorrow, we should be moving up and seeing 43.42 to 43.44, and even 43.56 to 58 or higher in tomorrow's session and as early as today. When the Fed interest rate comes out, the volatility becomes very big, and you get much faster moves, and things that would normally take a little longer to do get done. And that's what happened to our forecasts earlier. So I'm kind of relegated to giving you that. But I also want to give you some forecasts that are longer term that you can sit and think about for a little while, if you don't mind. So again, 43, 42 to 44 in tomorrow's session or higher, including 42 or 43, 56 to 58. And all we need is continued hourly closes above 43.12. We're up at 43.29 right now. I wonder how many of you trade in crude oil, because in a little bit, I'm going to give you a little longer term crude oil forecast. And when it does complete, which is going to be in some, it's not going to be tomorrow, it's a longer term forecast. And I'm kind of relegated to having to do this because of our other forecasts being sort of completed in today's session. But I do want you to know that I'm not just giving forecasts to you that are correct. I'm also giving forecasts out on live TV to over 10,000 people. And those forecasts can be seen on Ameritrade. Here I am with Ben Lichtenstein. Ben Lichtenstein is from Ameritrade. He's a sharp guy. I call him the great Ben Lichtenstein, and I'm on his program here speaking with him and giving forecasts for the next move that we think is going to happen in the markets. And we've been on there for several years now, making those forecasts for crude oil and other indices. But what are we using to make those calls? How do we have that confidence? Would you be willing to go on live TV and tell the world what the market's going to do? Do you have something robust enough, something that gives you the courage of your convictions that certain highly specific things are indeed going to happen? I doubt it. And I don't doubt that if you knew the square principle, you would be able to do those things, because I'm doing them each time I'm on their program. And I've just given you a forecast here. And a little later, I'm going to give you another one for the crude oil market. And what makes me so certain that those things are going to happen? The incredible square principle. Now, you may think, perhaps, I think you would be wrong thinking that I'm some kind of genius or that I have some special skills that no one else can acquire. That's not the case. I think I was blessed, if you will, meaning that it wasn't of my own making, that I discovered the square principle. Yes, I think that was a blessing. I believe that there may be in my makeup, in my visual processing, some things that look at things a little differently. But once you look at them a little differently, when I show you how I'm looking at them, then you are going to be in the same position that I'm in and be able to do it. And how do I know that? I know that because 6 years ago at a seminar, and this is that seminar, there was a fellow who was a longtime customer. This is at the Mirage Hotel. The rooms are much nicer now. They've upgraded them very nicely. But there was a fellow that had already been a customer of PageTrader for 8 years. And he came to the Square Principle seminar after just marveling at the principle and how accurate it could be, showing well in advance the moves that the markets were going to do. And that fellow, if you follow my cursor, is sitting right here. And he's going to be speaking to you because on this day, when he was at this seminar with me, of course, they're teaching the class. These people are from all over the world. The fellow right here where my cursor is, and from here, they're originally from India. With these two people right here are from Australia, all over the world, Germany, Poland, and so on. These people came out because they, like this fellow here, whose name is Jerry, also saw the square principle work time and time and time again. And Jerry came from the East Coast, but people came from all over the world to learn this principle and begin to apply it to markets the way that we do. And Jerry was able to demonstrate to me his use of the principle. And now when you come to take a trial, if you haven't taken a trial in a while, or if you buy a product, you can go to our products page, just go down here, and you'll see this Williams Edge Plus room. This is all being run by Jerry. So when you go to that room, this fellow right here, who just was like you, he had skill in markets, but he didn't know the square principle. He learned it, and he advanced to the point where he could say, look, I can do everything you're doing. And now he is. So if you want to hear a previous former customer using the square principle that I'll be teaching you on June 25th and June 26th, you can come in, take a trial, or get a subscription and watch what he's doing in that room with these markets utilizing this principle. Now, all of this may sound impossible to you, but it is very difficult to discount what you say is impossible when the things that we say are going to happen, or when anybody who knows the square principle says what's going to happen in the market, and then it happens, and it happens as a matter of course. And when it does happen, you know the market could have done a million other things. And instead of doing all those million other things, it did the exact thing the square principle said it was going to do. It's difficult to discount it and say, well, that's just nonsense, or I won't be able to do it, or it's actually impossible. It may have been impossible in the past, but when you come to the square principle seminar, you will leave with the information that we're using to make the forecasts that we do each and every day. Now, if you're here today with us, you certainly have an inkling of intelligence that tells you that the markets could not possibly be random. I know there have been books written about the random nature of the market. And in some ways, that's very unfortunate, because it teaches people to believe that the markets are random and that it's sort of like gambling. But in reality, when you understand the square principle, you understand that there is definitely a nature to the market, and that nature expresses itself through this principle and does it in a number of different ways that allows you to know things that you would not normally know. And I know for a fact that unless you've been to the square principle seminar, the very forecast that I made for you today already, and the one I'm going to make in crude, there's no way you could know that unless you had been to the seminar. Why? Because the square principle has never been printed. It's never been put in any book. It's not available to the public. So when you come to the seminar on June 25th and 26th, Saturday and Sunday, I'll teach this to you, and you will not be able to say at any point, hey, I already know this, or I read about this somewhere, because you haven't read about it anywhere. And no one that comes to the seminar has ever been able to say, hey, I already know this information. It is really brand new information. Now, personally, if I was going to go to a seminar and go there with the intention of learning something new, the last thing I would want to see is a bunch of charts with everything that I already know on them, colored lines and indicators and this and that all over the chart. I don't want to see that. I want to learn something completely new. And that's what I'm telling you that you are going to do tomorrow, or when you come, not tomorrow, but when you come to the June 26th, you're going to learn something completely new and something that you don't presently know. So traders continue to search, perhaps like you are, for what really is a kind of elusive principle that helps you to understand what the market's likely going to do. The square principle has nothing to do with any kind of cycle work or candlestick or pattern recognition. It doesn't utilize anything to do with overbought and oversold indicators. It has nothing to do with divergence or oscillators or momentum or moving averages. It has nothing to do with Bollinger Bands or market profile or regression, volume, MACD, RSI stochastics, VIX ticks, delta mirrors, moon phases, tidal rhythms. It has nothing to do with Elliott wave, Gann, pitchforks, fractals, ellipses, Fibonacci, sacred geometry, musical intervals, you name it. It has nothing to do with that. And that's what I want you to recognize, is that what if you know any of those things that I just read off, this has nothing to do with any of them. So you really will be learning something completely new and different. And here we are right now already at 43.42, the number I told you the market was going to go to. We were at 43.24 when I mentioned it. I told you the volatility gets very big. They're running and completing numbers early because of the big volatility. So let's go back on the chart here, and let me just put you a 15-minute chart. So, you know, we've been here for about 2 15-minute bars. We were back down here in this area, and I was telling you the market's going to run up to 43.42 to 43.44. The swing high has been 43.45.50. That's an example of the square principle at work. And then we still have higher prices, as we mentioned, for tomorrow. Where does that certainty come from? Wouldn't you, honest now, wouldn't you love to have that certainty? To be able to say, this is what's going to happen? Because that's exactly what the square principle allows you to do once you understand what it is and how to do it. Now, for those of you who have been around for a while and have been thinking about coming to a square principle seminar, this seminar is only 3 months out in the future, so you don't have to wait too long. And in the meantime, I'm going to continue to demonstrate the square principle by forecasting events that are going to happen in markets completely in advance of those events happening, so that by the time that day comes where you are going to be here, June 25th and 6th, you will be it'll be hard to contain yourself if you're really serious about markets, because you'll want to get in that room and understand what in God's name we're using to understand that the market is going to run to these numbers and take these moves, and know with a high degree of certainty that that's going to happen. Now, honestly, isn't that something you'd love to do? Well, we will do that because we're going to have a webinar every week. So while you're thinking about whether or not you want to place your $1,000 deposit, and I'll get to the cost of the seminar, while you're thinking about that, I'm going to continue to show you the square principle at work. Week after week after week, I'm going to forecast future market events, much bigger targets than the ones I've just done for you here. I'm going to do that for you all the way up to the last week before the seminar. So you will get a chance to know for yourself, like everyone else who does come, that there is something that you don't know and that you must know if you're going to continue to trade in markets and really have a really good chance to be happy with your results. Now, the square principle allows you to do an awful lot of things that I haven't said here. One of the things is just to forecast the exact price a market is going to run to, just as I've done for you. But it also allows you to do other things, like pick an exact price that if the market touches that price, it's going to reverse and rally away from that price, if that price was a low, and let you do that on any market you want. In the morning, before markets open, you can place buy limit orders. Imagine doing this on any market you want. You may not know, we may not know that the market is in fact going to hit those orders. But what we do know is that if they hit those prices, the market is going to reverse hard at at those specific prices. And it is actually true that by the time you get your little notification on your phone app or your DOM, that order has been triggered. And by the time you open your page up to see, oh, this particular order was triggered, it in many cases has already moved significantly away from the price you just entered at. That principle is part of the square principle, and it's called the square within the square. And I promise I'm going to teach that to you on June 25th and June 26th. So not only will you be able to do what you just saw me do, which is forecast the very prices that we're trading at right now and higher, but you will also be able to pick exact spots that if the market does touch them, and you can plant them in different markets and just wait for those to get triggered, and the market will reverse hard off of each of those levels. Wait a minute, though, there's still more. The square principle allows you to do much more than those two things I just mentioned to you. It also allows you to know when huge, distant, big market advances or crashes are about to occur. And that part of the principle is called the regained square. And can I tell you something else? Your chart will not have anything on it except what I'm showing you here. Now, we do sometimes, in our own way, put something on the chart just so we don't have to remember the details of a particular place that the market's going to go. But your chart will be as empty as this chart is right now, and you will simply be manipulating the principle called the square principle to know the things that we're talking about. A couple other ideas I want to present to you here. Number one, the square principle is absolutely predictive by nature. It is saying, here's what's going to happen. No two ways about it. So it is predictive by nature. Number two, it's 100% objective. Have you ever worked with Elliott Wave, where you have a guy that says, oh, we're in a wave 3, or we're in a wave 4, or we're in a wave 2? But if another Elliottician looks at that same chart, what does he say? He says, no, that's not a wave 3. That's actually a wave 5. See, 3 actually occurred over here. Well, that means that it's not objective. If two people look at it and see different things, it's subjective, not objective. The square principle is 100% objective. That means when I say we're going to trade to such and such a square, that's the exact square that you will have in every case. You will have that square in every case on your chart. Of course, if your platform has to be set up correctly. There are some platforms, most platforms work perfectly good with the square principle, but I do want to tell you there's one or two platforms that we might have to make an adjustment on. And if you have that platform, we'll do that for you so that it works perfectly for you like it does it for everybody else. Now we're getting into the 50s, the 4350s. And what did I tell you? The other number was 4356 to 4358. And that's the other target that I had mentioned earlier when we were talking about forecasting the markets. So having something that's 100% objective is a million times better than having 5 different people have 5 different results. How could it be valuable to you if when I show it to you, when you use it, it works differently? That's not good, right? This is 100% objective. Everyone's going to have the same numbers, the same targets. Everything's the same when you understand the square principle. Whether you use it or somebody from Australia uses it or somebody like Jerry uses it, it's going to be the same each time. Another important thing is that it's actually tradable. By the time we told you about this move up that we're seeing here, there was plenty of time for you or me to take advantage of that trade. It wasn't something that was right 2 points away. We were like 25 points away. And you have time to place an order and be in the market for a particular move. So I want to assure you that you're not dealing with a 2-point method where you have to be staring at the market until your eyes are weeping blood so that you can figure out how to make 2 points. We're not talking about breadcrumb trading. We're talking about trading for sizable moves, just like the one I just showed you, in S&P, in crude, in your favorite market, utilizing the square principle on your own. You're not going to need somebody else looking over your shoulder when you know the square principle. Also, the square principle has worked exactly the same as far back as you care to go in markets. You want to go back to 1929 when society was different, technology was different, people were somewhat different back then. Everything was different. And yet there's the square principle working beautifully, just as it has worked today, just as it's working right now as I'm speaking to you in the markets. So it has worked 100 years ago. It continues to work as society continues to change, traders change, new traders come in, and the principle is still working exactly like we said. If you take a look at your chart here, you'll see we're at 4356 right now. That's the other number, 4356 to 58, that I told you this S&P was going to go to when the market was somewhere around 4320, right here. How did I know that? You know how? Through the square principle. And when you don't know what the square principle is, you won't even know what the right question to ask is about the square principle because you don't know it. When you do know it, it'll be very clear to you why the market just ran from 43.25 up to 43.56 to 58, with the first stop at 43.42 to 44. Pretty impressive, isn't it? Don't you agree that that's pretty amazing? Have you seen somebody else just tell you point blank, unhedged, what the market's going to do and have it do it right in front of you? I don't think so, unless they happen to know the square principle. So if you're interested, I'd love to have you stay for a little longer, because I'm going to bring on Jerry now from our Williams Edge Plus room. He's the fellow that I showed you the picture of before. He has been in that square principle room now for many years. And when you go in there, if you ever do take a trial or want to check us out in real time, of course, this is pretty much real time, isn't it? But you'll get a chance to see him do the same things that you're seeing me do now. I'd like to bring him on. And if you have some questions, I'd like you to type them into your GoToWebinar text box, and I'll answer those after Jerry's through. So without any further ado, let's bring Jerry from our Williams Edge Plus room on. So Jerry, good morning. Great to have you here. How are you doing? Let's talk.
Good.
S&P and the square principle.
Yeah, good to be here. Good to be here. Listen, I know someone's going to bring it up, David, but could you could you switch that to the June contract from March?
Oh, whoops. Sorry.
That's okay. Listen, the market's doing it anyway. So the good news is, in June contract, we did 44, and have gotten now within 3 points, 4 points of the 57 in
well,
the June.
I actually had accidentally prior to this sort of put it together on the June, but I mean on the March. So either way, it's fine. It'll work out on both.
That's okay. It's going to work. Listen, I'm sure someone's going to bring it up, but yeah, it's going to do it in the June contract, no doubt. And so not worried about it. We've been to 51.75 here in June, and so we're only a handful of points away from the perfect number. So. And what's interesting, David, as we all know, is post-Fed, they dove down, they sold off to the one of the absolute perfect numbers that we said, listen, they just need to close above this. They need to firm up on this. This is the number we've been using all day, 42.47, 42.48. They turned around, they spiked that a little bit, and boy, they just they had a little choppy back and forth during Powell's press conference, but they got it all done. We've been looking for this number here coming into today and tomorrow, and it's a great completion. So there you have it. It's a beautiful call, and you're right. The only way to know that this number was in play, and we put this out here first thing this morning. Arguably, it wasn't. Again, you had to trade it. We did some trading this morning. I don't want to turn this into trading talk, but I just want to compliment on the call, because we put that out here first thing this morning. We had very good, successful morning. They sold off. We waited our turn after the Fed, and we obviously had to stay keyed in on this completion, 43.50, 43.57 in the June contract. So they tried to shake us off, and but it turned out to be a great call. I do want to just say, David, if I may, and I know you haven't had a chance to look through the list of who's here, but boy, once again, it's really great to see some of the names here that just we miss seeing you on a regular basis. I just want a quick little shout out to JP. JP's just a great guy. I enjoyed meeting him in the past. Both Randy K and Randy S. Great to see you guys here. And there's so many, Ted and others. It really is nice to see some of the names. Lars is here. And it's just really nice to see everybody. So with that said, David, the square principle is arguably, now listen, for those, I think most everybody who's been here on more than one occasion knows a little bit of my background. I've been around the markets for, I don't even want to say it now, hate to say it, 37 years. So it's been a long time. And yes, you taught me the square principle. Relative to 37 years, I haven't known the square principle that long. It now makes about 7 years since I learned the square principle. And I'm so thankful that I did. And it is without a doubt one of the greatest pieces of technical work. It goes beyond technical analysis. It is an understanding of why the market is treating certain prices the way that it does, and why it has an absolute need to run to these prices like we're seeing here going on here today. While I'm talking, David, maybe I could ask Manish, who's listening in here, who just came back from the March seminar,
March
if he
5th and
wouldn't
6th.
type in a comment. He did say it. He said it just the other day. Hi, there he is. Hi, Manish. Manish is a great guy. We just met Manish here in Las Vegas just a couple of weeks back. Manish, I got to tell you, folks, Manish is one of the smartest. I've met a lot of smart people. David has met a lot of smart people, and not to ditch anybody else, but Manish is a really smart guy. He's been around trading for a long time. Manish said something to me the other day, and I'd like him to just say, yeah, I said that, or type it in. But, after years and years of being around the market, Manish, his simple words were, attending the seminar was life altering. And I feel the same way. You know that, David, and I think
Yes.
everybody who's heard me in the past knows that learning the square principle has the opportunity to be life changing. It changes how you understand, view, and therefore interact with the market, and in a way that I don't think most traders can appreciate until you see it. It's hard to appreciate the impact that understanding this principle that resides in the market can have on an individual until you learn it, experience it, and then literally interact with the market, utilizing it and watching it and seeing how it unfolds. It really, truly is an amazing piece of understanding. It's not mechanical. It's an understanding, and once you gain that understanding and that knowledge, it's just incredible. When not to do something. When to stay away. When to just wait for that appropriate point in time where the market is testing a very critical square or is about to run to a very critical square. And then you understand how you need to interact and I hate to use the word trade or invest, but but that's what it's all about. I mean, how else could we have known crude oil was going to do what it did when it shot up to 127? And then, I hate to say it, Dane was out there at the seminar, David, as you know, and when we saw that Sunday night and we saw the 130 price, Dane and I looked at each other. We had an immediate conversation. He said, I need to book profits on oil, don't I, Jer? I said, you absolutely do, because it's not going to stay there. And it came off hard off the 130 high. You couldn't possibly have known that information without knowing the square principles. So as I always say, David, if a trader listener here in the room has the full faith that what we're talking about is what we're going to teach them, and they've been around with us for a long, long time, I continue to say, what's holding you back from coming and learning? We're doing the seminar just 3 months out from this one, so that we can keep it small. So it is going to be a small group. Once again, it was a fantastic group to interact with. And we kept it small for a number of reasons, worked out tremendously well. We're going to keep this one small. So there's not a lot of room and there's not a lot of time. And as I always say, David, one last thing, I'm happy to talk to anybody who wants to have a conversation with me one-on-one and talk about the square principle and talk about potentially coming out here to learn it. So it's changed. It's certainly changed me. And I know Manish feels the same way. Today he says, I bought SPYX call options due to so many, due to the square principle only, I was able to hold for the longer run. So Manish was in the market today for this run up to these levels, and I couldn't be happier. And but that's it,
nice.
David. Those are my thoughts. I
Jeremy.
really, really appreciate seeing some of the folks here today, and I look forward to actually seeing them on June 25th and June 26th.
Right. And I do want to add something. Thanks again, Jerry, that for those of you that may have taken the square principle that are here, and this is true for anybody who goes to the square principle course, sometimes life happens. People might come to the course, learn it, but then quickly they go home and suddenly life whisks them away, and life just puts other things on their plate for a while. And before you know it, they've kind of gotten a little blurry on what they learned at this seminar in Las Vegas. And we do offer seats for people who might want to come back, who have already taken it, only for the purpose if something like that happened. It's not really difficult to remember it, but honestly, when you're in a new location, you've traveled there, and you're in a hotel that you've not been in before, even though it's very beautiful and very nice, the fact is that you're not quite in your normal surroundings for learning. And if you do happen to lose some of your insight into it, or maybe not remember some of the rules, we often let 2 or 3 people come for sort of a refresh for those people to the seminar. So if you have questions about that, you can call in and ask about that. Now listen, it doesn't matter what kind of trading style or trading tools you're using now. That doesn't matter. It's great. If you're using RSI and MACD and anything else, fantastic. When the square principle is operating and it's showing you what the market's going to do, in every case, virtually, it's going to be giving you that information prior to any indicator telling you that any such move is going to happen. And at some point, you're going to say, I probably don't need to use these anymore. It's fine if you want to continue to use them, but the square principle virtually in every case is going to be ahead of those indicators. Now, one final thing. I hope you're intrigued. I hope you're kind of intrigued and maybe fascinated by what possible principle could be in play for us to be able to make live calls. This is our fifth time that we've made correct, accurate live calls for what the market is going to do for distant price targets, utilizing the principle that we're proposing to teach you on June 25th and 6th. But I do want to show you something a little more that will intrigue you. It's verbal, but I want you to think about it. Here it is. It doesn't actually matter at all what the market is doing before you make a forecast. And I want you to understand that, and let me get just my thoughts together here. The market, when it runs to a square, just like it's doing now, it's doing that for the same reason that it's done so on every other square principle chart ever produced, any other square principle forecast that has ever been done. So it does it the same for the same exact reason. It doesn't matter if it's a 15-minute chart, a daily chart, or a yearly chart. The market runs to its squares for the exact same reason. It's doing it on the chart in front of you right now for the exact same reason it does it on a 5-minute chart. It does it for the same reason on all time frames, even up to and beyond yearly. That's pretty interesting. So if you're a little intrigued by the square principle, I now want to tell you how you can come to the square principle seminar and learn the square principle for once and for all. Learn something that can actually be demonstrated in real time in front of you, which you've never done before. You've never gone to something where the person says, right here and now, I'm going to tell you what this market's going to do and have it do it. And repeat that over and over, which I've done now. This is our 4th or 5th time that we've been making these forecasts. So I hope you'll agree, first of all, that the square principle must be quite an accomplishment, because it actually allows you, me, Jerry, and anyone else to be able to know in advance what the likely move the market is going to make is. And it's not for breadcrumbs. It's for sizable moves in whatever market you're looking at. The principle is literally powerful enough to allow you to live life on your own terms, where you're not looking to others to tell you what the market's going to do, or looking to others for some other help to make you understand the market. When you understand the square principle, you'll know what you're looking for in the market. Now, many, many years ago, when I first discovered the principle, literally within the first year of starting trading, I don't know why it happened that way. I'd like to tell you that I had enough smarts to sit down and surmise that what the principle is and then go discover it in the market. But that's exactly the opposite of what happened in reality. For me, I had no knowledge of markets. I was at the point where I had just begun. I had a computer terminal at my home or my office at the time, and I was looking at the market, and I literally just saw the principle. I just looked at the market and could see that it was doing this. Why me? Why nobody else had seen it? I can't answer. I do know that I didn't think about in advance how to solve the market. I visually solved it, and then I spent many, many years thinking that others must know that and slowly developing the principle up. By the time we're here where we are now, when you come to the seminar on June 25th and 26th, which is Saturday and Sunday, and it's only 3 hours a day plus a lunch. So it's not like we're going to grind you down with a whole school's worth of information. It's this easy to teach, but you can't know it unless it's shown to you. By the time you get there, what you're going to be learning is completely complete. The square principle is a complete thing. It can't really be improved upon. All of the nuances have been worked out. All the work has been done. So all you have to do is come and learn it. Remember, the square principle isn't available anywhere else on the internet. It's only available through us. I'm the person that developed it originally. And at this point, the only place that it's available is at our seminars here in Las Vegas at the Mirage Hotel on June 25th and 26th. So I've made the price reasonable for this seminar so that a limited number of new and serious traders like yourself can experience the same unbelievable opportunities that other traders, other investors have learned and are using in the market day in and day out. What is the price? The price for the Square Principle seminar, 2-day seminar, is $6,995. I know you may say that is, gosh, that's a lot of money in this inflationary environment. And you know what? It may even be the way inflation's going. It may even be a little more than, I don't mean in price, but we've never raised our price for the Square Principle seminar. But in terms of inflation, it may actually appear to be even more expensive than that because of inflation, or maybe a little harder for you to purchase. So you'll have to make the decision whether you really want the Square Principle or not. But if I asked you to come to the seminar for no money and said, I'm going to teach you everything about the Square Principle for nothing, would you be there? That's my question. Would you come if all you had to do is show up and I teach it to you? And I think we'll both agree that the likely answer is, of course, yes, I would come. And then my next question is, have you had losses in the market that have exceeded the amount of money the seminar costs? I'll leave you to answer that. I do know this, however, if you don't have the principle, the chances are you've had losses many times more than what the Square Principle seminar costs. But is that still a good enough justification to spend that money? Well, forecasting markets like we do, where you can actually demonstrate a live market forecast. You guys have all your own stuff in front of you. Oh, look at the price we are at in June right now. What's the high today in June? 43.58.75. Did I tell you when the market was down here that's where they were going? I did. That's what you'll be able to do with the Square Principle. If that isn't worth $6,995 to you, something that could have been made. I'm sorry, I don't like to talk about money, but if I was going to talk about money, a couple of contracts from 43.25, hell, even one E-mini from 43.25 up to 43.58 is quite a gain. I think you'll agree. That would be a 33 point gain in the E-mini. So about $3,300, if I'm doing the math correct, on a single contract. I'll leave it to you to decide. But I do want to make sure you understand that if you do come, you're going to receive 2 days of live Square Principle training here in Las Vegas, taught by me, David Williams, inside a private conference room. It's in total about 4 hours a day because there's 1 hour for lunch. You'll be given a 5-star meal. We have a wonderful time. It's very casual. You can ask questions during the seminar right as I'm speaking, because it's an open conversation so that everybody stays up and understands what we're doing. You can see everything on a beautiful big screen. You'll leave the seminar with a beautiful full leather Square Principle notebook containing dozens of charts, just like the ones that I've showed you earlier, except the secret to the Square Principle is on those charts. You'll also get unlimited, not 60 days, not 90 days, but unlimited after the seminar online support directly with me, the developer of the Square Principle. It doesn't cost you anything to do that. And not only does the after the seminar help not cost you anything ever, but there are no ongoing fees or anything else you'll be asked to buy. If you come to the seminar, you'll learn the square principle exactly as I'm showing it to you, and just as you have seen it operate here today. I'm not through giving you forecasts, though. I told you I would give you another one, and I'm going to give you another one. Would you like to have another forecast? And just to make sure that I know this, I'm going to ask you to respond by typing in yes. Did you like the forecast, and would you like another one? I won't give it unless a bunch of people say yes. So I need every person here to type in yes, and I'll tell you another forecast. Now, thank you for doing that. I see the whole group of you typing in yes. That S&P was nice, right? But I'm going to give you a longer term. Thank you all. Thank you, Lewis, Alan, Marty, Stu, Don. I'm going to give you a longer term forecast in the crude oil market. Let's go over to crude oil for a moment, okay? Take a look at this. Let me get this up here. So here's the crude oil market on a daily chart. Crude's been going down. Looks pretty vicious, doesn't it? But if you knew the square principle, you would know something very important about this market. If you knew the square principle, you would know what I'm about to tell you is true. So the second quarter of this year, which begins at the end of this month, the second quarter of 2022, crude, which is now trading at $94.79, is almost certainly in that second quarter going to test $88 to $87. Let me put my cursor where that is. Here's $87 right here. So in the second quarter of this year, which I'm not denoting time here, I'm just saying out in the second quarter, the market is going to be testing $87 at that point. And I also am going to tell you that if the market can close monthly above that $87, $88 level, then it is going to run up from that level all the way back up to 103 to 105, something like this, into later this year, like second or third quarter. So this is a much longer forecast, longer term forecast. It's not something that you're going to see resolved right now today. But it is important for you to recognize that there's a lot about the future, the supposed unknown future, that a person can know when it comes to the technical side of the market. And that's why I'm excited to teach you the square principle, because you better buckle your seatbelt, because this is a totally different way to understand what the market is likely going to do. So that forecast, I could even delineate more. I could give you more about the daily indications for crude into the near future here, about 95, 94 being retested and retested, into Friday, plus or minus a day, and so on. But I think you get the point. The point really is there's information that can tell you highly specific things about the future of whatever market you're trading. And if you're serious about trading and have made efforts, like we all have, I'm going to teach you something that no one else can. And when I say nobody else, I mean literally nobody else can teach this to you with the knowledge and with the understanding that I teach you. You will be able to understand to an amazing degree what the market is likely going to do, just like I demonstrated for you today. Now, you can come to this seminar under these conditions. There are conditions. You can't work for a company that does market stuff like us. You can't be out there working for a company that promotes stuff, because they're going to want to know the square principle from you. So that's off the list. If you're a broker or somebody who works as a broker in the stocks and commodities, you have to contact us and sign a special agreement to learn the square principle. You can come to the seminar if you're ordinary person and you have an ordinary job that isn't related to brokerages and people that compete with PageTrader, and we'll be very happy to teach you the incredible Square principle. If that sounds good to you, it should, because you'll be very excited, like everybody is, when they come to learn this incredible principle. Now, if you want to, right now, with you here with me today, you could give yourself a nice lead in making sure you get here and don't miss a seat, because we had to turn people down last time for our seminar because of COVID and everything else. We've kept the seminar somewhat a little bit more intimate, but here's how you can learn it. You click on the Square principle and you click learn more. And when you get to that page, it now says June 25th and 26th, 2022. This is the Mirage Hotel. Click here to reserve your seat. You'll choose an option, which is Seminar Trading 625, and you paid a deposit of $1,000. Those deposits that you pay, that's your money. You get to keep that. If you call us up and say, hey, I can't come, or hey, some life thing came up and I'm not feeling well, that's fine. We'll refund your money 100%. It doesn't cost you anything. But when you do put that deposit down, we then use that deposit and say, this guy's serious, he wants to come, and we'll print your personalized materials, your book, for the Square principle. We've been long time, over 10 years now, we've been accredited with the Better Business Bureau. We have an A+ business rating, and we're accredited, their highest rating in the land. And we've done millions and millions of dollars worth of business over that time. We make customers happy. We do what we say we're going to do. If you don't want to come after you place your deposit, call us and we refund it that same day. We don't say, oh, we make all our refunds at the end of the first quarter or something like that. No, we refund it to you right then and there. If you like what you saw today, if you want to be able to know that the S&P is going to run to 43.56, let's bring up the chart here really quick. If you want to know how to do that and be so confident that you can do it in real time, then I want you to leave a $1,000 deposit. And that tells us that you're interested and serious about coming to the June 25th and 26th Square Principle Seminar. The seating is limited, and just like all of our seminars, they will be scooped up. Every last one will be sold, because people do want to know how to do this. Other people who've been trying hard in the markets want to know how to do this. We do a background check on those that apply to come to the seminar. We don't care about anything in your background except if it's a background that could somehow put our information at risk. That's the only thing that we're concerned about. Other than that, we're so happy that you have come here today, and I want to answer some of your questions if you have some. I think I've demonstrated enough for you today to have you know that there really is something that you should know about markets now. Now, I don't see any, I see a couple questions. I see Lars. Hey, Lars, wonderful to have you. I know Lars, and Lars and I have been together in many, many meetings about markets, and I've taught him things. Nice to have you here, Lars. Great to hear from you. I'm glad that you're doing well. John is here, and he says, hello, David. I've heard you taught sometimes called reflected wave. Is it the same, and how much to learn this? We have two primary techniques, and I want you to listen closely to this. The Square principle operates, obviously, relating to price. That's how the Square principle tells you that the market's going to go from 43.25 to 43.56 to 58. That's a price forecast. Reflected wave, which we're not talking about today, but is a very important tool that we use, forecasts future turning points, where the market is going to turn. But the interesting thing about the Square principle is that when the market reaches important squares, it often reverses anyway. But putting that aside, the difference is that reflected wave deals with time and market timing, and squares deal with price and price forecasting. So keep that in mind. That's a great question, John. John also says, I called the market top today and said where to cover, and the market should then go make a slightly higher high. How can I know that what you teach is not similar to what I already know? I'm being frank, not playing around, honest question. John, the only way I can answer that is to tell you to call me tomorrow and tell me what the market's going to do. And if you can do that for the next 3 days into next week and accurately tell me what the market's going to do the same way that I showed you, then you don't need the square principle. If you do call me and give me a forecast, I'd be very interested to hear it. I'm fascinated by forecasting, obviously, and I'd love to see if you have what it takes, to be blunt, to forecast the market, not just today and truly, as you're saying to me, after the fact. It's okay, it's after the fact. I believe you. But if you want to demonstrate for me, you have to do it the way that we always demonstrated, which is in real time before the event happens. That's what everyone in this room is interested in. Everyone here is not interested in me or you, John, talking about what we did in the past. They're interested to see if you can tell me right now what the market's going to do in the future. And the square principle will do that. And you are welcome. I'm not going to challenge you or belittle you if you decide not to call, but you're welcome, let me put it that way, to call us and give us forecasts for what you think the market's going to do, and as specific as you can. And I'd be very happy to then tell you, dude, you don't need to come to the square principle because you've got it down. Okay, well, that's good, John. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. He also says, how accurate is the square principle? Odds of success percentage-wise, he says, my system is 80 to 90% of the time. Again, the square, we don't actually have a percentage. We don't put it out in those terms because we give thousands and thousands of forecasts out. We've been doing this for 23 years. We don't keep track of everyone and say, okay, now it's this percentage, now it's that percentage. The thing about the square principle is that it has the ability to forecast really unusually distant price targets to be reached. Today, the move from 25, say, up to 58 is not unusually distant. The square principle can forecast much, much further price targets and still be equally as accurate. One way that we answer that question is just for you to come, and you're more than welcome to take a trial, watch us for 7 days or 5 days, whatever it is, and check out what we're doing in real time and just judge for yourself what you think the accuracy is. Obviously, for me to go on live TV and forecast what markets are going to do, we have to have a pretty good idea of the fact that certain things are highly likely to happen. And that's what the square principle gives us. John says, I don't use indicators, only price. No, all of that is great, John, and I welcome you, like I said before, if you'd like to, and I won't, if you decide not to, it's no worries at all, but you are welcome to call us and give us a forecast for what you think the market's going to do in the future. And I'd love to see it. So thank you so much for saying so. And I'm glad, and I appreciate you saying it, and I wish you the continued success. George is here and he says, why do you not have up the June contract? I had the wrong one up originally, just before we came on, because all of our earlier forecasts in the day had been completed, primarily because of the Fed interest rate announcement, including forecasts to the downside. So we had sort of run out of forecast. I grabbed a chart and we put it up. So we had to correct it. But the price, as we said, the price would get completed. The 58, 56 to 58 would get completed in the June contract. Let's see. Yeah, I see that. Yes, I was worried that my charts were way off. That is funny. I'm sorry about that. Manish is here. Hey, Manish. And Jerry had talked. Manish was at our last seminar. He says, today I bought SPX call options due to so many squares, due to the square principle. I was able to hold for the longer run. Beautiful, beautiful to hear. Thank you, Manish. He says, David, I have problems with my system, no sound. I'm sorry about that. I am registering on our end. I hope you can hear it now. And John asked what the difference between reflected wave and squares is. Squares deals with price forecasting distant prices, and the reflected wave forecasts future turning points. So listen, thank you all for coming. Let's see. And thank you, John. John says he'll call us. He'll do his best. You can call tomorrow after 7:30 Pacific time. We're already in the markets, but it's very busy in the morning. And then you can leave us any forecast you'd like, John. I'm very, very happy to. Let's see what else he says. Yeah, no, and thank you for saying so. He says he would gladly play to learn something new. And I'm delighted to hear that, John. And I also want you to know that very few people, very, very few people would offer to do what you're saying you'll do. very few people would say, hey, no, I am going to call you and I am going to do my best to show you a forecast. And I give you all the credit for that. Most people, that's very difficult for most people to be able to do. Joe says, thank you again, John. Is this recorded? I missed the webinar. It is recorded. You'll have to call in to see if they can get it to you in the recorded form. Thank you, Joe. Let's see, will you do another one of these? I had issues with GoToWebinar. Yes, we'll probably have another one on Tuesday of next week, and I want to give you my final thoughts. First of all, thank you for coming. I appreciate your time. It's valuable. What we're talking about, we believe, is massively valuable for people who are very interested in actually utilizing the markets to be able to forecast. Without knowing what the market's likely going to do, why would you want to trade? Then you're just gambling. The square principle puts an entirely different understanding about what's likely going to happen, just like I demonstrated for you today. And this is now our 4th demonstration of live forecasts for distant price targets, all of them correct in our last 4 webinars. My final pledge to you is this: every seminar, every webinar between today's webinar and the last webinar before June 25th and June 26th, which is probably going to be 1 or 2 weeks before, I am going to forecast every single time using the square principle until you are blown away by its accuracy and will come to the seminar. I pledge that to you. I will do that for you. If you promise to come to these webinars, I'll show you a new forecast every time. Is that a good deal? You like that? Great. I want to thank you all for coming. Thank you, Joe. Best wishes to all of you, whether you come or not. But I know this: I won't have to wish you best wishes when you know the square principle, because you'll know something that can take you a lot further than my best wishes could. And that is this incredible square principle. Thank you all for coming. Hope to see you next Tuesday. You'll get a letter about it. And I hope to see you here where we will again forecast using this principle until you're ready to show up and place your deposit. Okay, I hope that's fair enough. Thanks again. See you all next time. Stay well. Bye-bye.